Hi, everyone. Today we have Jeffrey Saunders. He's the Canadian healing medium in Alberta, Canada. He uses video call sessions to help others heal since his near-death experience with the gifts he has been given since coming back to his body. He's been healed from bipolar, PTSD, severe ADHD, severe anxiety, severe depression. He had 12 suicide attempts. The last one was his near-death experience. Thank you, Jeffrey, for being here today.
Thank you for asking me to come on. And it's funny, you say I'm in Canada, but looking behind me here, it doesn't really look like I'm in Canada right now, does it? Minus 30 up here today. She's cold. So thank you for having me on today.
Love to hear your, oh gosh, there's so many interesting things about you. How about we go right into near-death experience, then a little bit of your background, and then how people can reach you. And then you can all click down for part 2 to hear a lot more about Jeffrey.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll dive right in because your show is about near-death experiences. And again, I'm so humble and grateful to be here, to be able to share and to give back my story, because we all are equally valuable with what we share through our life experiences. So I'm very grateful to be here and to be sharing my life, my story. So just to throw you right into it, like you said, I was actually someone who suffered with severe depression, severe anxiety, and the diagnosis of PTSD and bipolar years ago, being given medications off and on all throughout my life. And a lot of the time it really messed me up. And it was, it's only actually a bandaid. It's not a cure for curing the issue that I was dealing with. So at that moment, it was my last suicide attempt. First one, I was at the age of 12, and I'll share in the second clip or the second video that we do on more on the detail of it. But I was at a very deep, dark space again of severe depression, severe anxiety. And it was a horrible time for me to where I wanted to take my life. So I had it planned out that I was going to OD myself, and that actually happened. I got myself to not be breathing. And I've gained, and I always tell people this, like, don't try to do this stuff to get the gifts and then hope that you revive within yourself, because I was by myself. But it is a part of my story on how I got it to be doing the work I'm doing today to end suffering in people globally, and how I'm able to instantly transform lives today, because I was instantly transformed from my connection. They transformed my life to show me the root cause of what is actually causing it. And then I was instantly cured. And then I've been just repeating that. So I overdosed laying on my couch. And the beautiful part that I went through was I could feel my heart going and trying, to keep beating. And I was holding my breath, and I would hold it longer and longer and longer. And I could feel my heart going, and I was just trying to hold my breath to like just leave here because of the suffering that I was feeling. And I didn't know how to heal the energy that was a part of me that caused me to suffer. It got to the point where I realized, hey, I don't need to try to stop breathing anymore. I'm still awake though. Like, I'm still breathing, or not breathing. I'm still like alive, but my body's not breathing. Now I'm noticing I'm shifting and moving around within my physical body, moving around, and I'm able to still be conscious while my body is not breathing. So right away I said to God, that I don't want to die, but can you please show me the other side? And before I get into my experience on what I went through, the beautiful thing that taught me when I came back to my body to be where I'm at today is we have the consciousness. And when I use the term consciousness, I use it in the way of the aliveness of thoughts that are created in a space. So our human mind that we are living in has its own conditioned human mind of aliveness of thoughts of what you've been conditioned through in life. And then when you die, you actually shift to your soul's consciousness, which is the truth of your light consciousness of who you are within your physical body. And there's a shifting that happens here. Since learning this, coming back to my body, practicing presence every day, it took me 8 months of practicing to not be suffering in a different way that I ended up suffering after. Now I'm fully aligned to my light consciousness, the being of light of who I am in this physical form. I actually don't even feel my physical body like I used to. All I feel is energy. I'm just a being of energy. Even now, when I'm speaking to you, it is the being of light within this physical form that's actually speaking to you. I don't think or have thoughts in my human mind because I am so aligned to the inner light being of who I am within. And that experience showed me of where I could be. And in this space where I am, there is no thinking of the past or the future, creating fears and anxieties and creating stories that we create in our human mind and that holds us back. The judgment that we have in thinking of judgment, there is no judgment of our light consciousness. We do not judge. It is just the alignment. Either a person is aligned to us or they're not aligned to us. And we come to a space of peace and calmness. There is nothing but peace and calmness that moves through me today. I do not have suffering of where the human mind would suffer. So it's a very beautiful space where we can all be. And it is where I do not have severe ADHD anymore, because that is of the human consciousness, of the aliveness of thoughts. And now I do not have severe ADHD. It's barely even affecting my life anymore. Sometimes when we're speaking, I might lose track. Sometimes it comes in. So anyways, I wanted to share that experience for that on where I'm at today because of that experience. So asking God, telling him I didn't want to die. There is a portal window. So it's all black. I can't see anything. All of a sudden there's this portal window that opens up in front of me. And it was when we go through these experiences for people who have had near-death experiences, I mean, some people might have ones that, weren't as beautiful, but a lot of us have beautiful experiences because even when we come back to our body, we have this aliveness of knowing of who we are within our physical body, more awareness to it. But I looked in and there were these beautiful chandeliers that were hanging in this room. And it was like a giant room with pillars. And I ended up leaning forward and looking around, and it was nothing but vivid colors on these walls and glossiness. And then I started looking back at the chandelier, and I was starting to lose myself looking at the amazing light that was coming from these chandeliers. Now, that is the extent that I remember. I know I went to 2 other places, but it was not meant for my human mind's consciousness to remember, but it was for my soul to go through the experience. So when I came back, I had more knowledge for whatever it was. But what brought me back was actually my mother, hearing my mother and thinking she was outside of my body. And I could hear the panic saying, "Keep breathing, son, keep breathing." I actually thought she was outside my door and she couldn't get into my apartment. And she was saying, "Keep breathing, son, keep breathing." Now, my mom's been my rock my whole life of unconditional love. Okay. I know, like, she's my everything. And to feel and hear the panic in her voice of that suffering and saying, "Why the F is the ambulance not here yet?" And she was like getting angry and getting mad. So it brought the awareness for me to come back towards my body. And then I heard her saying, "The ambulance is here, the ambulance is here," and hearing it go from door to door and wondering why couldn't they find my apartment. So it kind of scared me. So I came back to my body and I felt this shock and to breathe again. And I ended up finding out through spirit that I was dead for 4 minutes before I came back to my body. And then I was given this gift where I can actually see. It took a couple minutes when I came back to my body and I sat up and I walked around, where now even I can see through the different frequencies of energy that we cannot see. People can feel it. If you're an empath, you can understand energy a bit more, but I can see the beings around me now moving around me. And when I came back, I started seeing animals and people who have passed on and different beings of light. They're always around us observing, always. They're always around us. And I started interacting with them and asking them questions, and they all shift yes and no in front of me to answer me, or nodding their head or shaking their head. So this has been my source of energy to work with now in my life with the highest evolved beings of light of great counsel. And they work with me with light energy. And we've been working together for 2 years now. They showed me how to heal PTSD, the energy that causes us to suffer of mental health. Instantly, the next day, my life was changed. I did not suffer. I have not suffered with depression. I have not suffered with, the anxiety, it comes from a few different other parts, but the mental health aspects of where I used to suffer comes from stored energy that is covering our being of light within. And it actually comes, it's the root cause. It comes up and it releases within our human mind to not suffer. So I haven't suffered through all the work and the experiences they put me through. And then this is how I give back to people today. It's through the personal experiences I have gone through. And I mean, we're all the same. We all have something valuable and beautiful to offer. And it's through your personal experiences of the things that you've gone through, especially when it comes, for me, it's healing. So when people have healed from abuse in any form, narcissism, all these experiences that we go through of horrible experiences of suffering, when we do the healing work and we are freed from how we once suffered and carried all that hurt and pain, shame and guilt, not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, when we reach this space, we have so much to offer through our life story. And then we can, for me, I create sessions and stuff like that. And then being able to give back through my life story, right? So we all have that. So that is me sharing on, on that portion of it.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Sorry, I just had to take myself off mute. I'd like to do a screen share where you tell us how you can help us and your website. I'm going to go to your website right now. If you could tell us how to reach out to you. And
so if you just Google the Canadian Healing Medium, seems like I was saying earlier to you, it's sometimes like a tongue twister for people or something. Healing Medium. So I'll share briefly as well as you're pulling this up. So being a healing medium, I only used the term at the beginning. I didn't know if I wanted to use the term medium because the work I do is for everyone. I use the terms energy, light beings, and all this stuff. And then a person, whatever your belief system is, you're perfect for who you are. And you can align it to your conditioning of your life path to how I share and talk about energy. And you can, use that. And now here's my ADHD kicking in because I was starting to say something and it veered off. Oh, anyways. Okay. So if we go up to the very top here, I want to bring you to my transformational page because this page, click on the transformation there. So this here has been ending all the experiences that you have lived through of suffering. And there's a 2-part to this 1-part session that it instantly has been transforming lives instantly when our session is over to not suffer with depression. I was talking earlier to you about it on how I actually have one beautiful testimonial I just got was from a doctor in the UK because I connect through video call sessions. So when he was very open to trying something new, he was very skeptical. Being skeptical does not matter. The willingness to try something you haven't tried before is all you need. I do all the work in guiding you, but you're actually in a meditative state. And I actually work with your soul. I don't work with your human mind, the consciousness of it, because when we stay in a state of presence, that is the aliveness of your being of light within. That is what I am working with in healing during my session. And we actually go through your whole life of everything that you have experienced of suffering. And I actually connect, and I'm teaching today divine light energy. It is the highest source of frequency of energy that we can all use and connect with. And I teach it in one day. And you have this knowledge of connection. So what it's actually, the really cool thing that I had just happened recently, there was a doctor in the UK and he's a psychiatrist. And he's been in the field for a long time now. And he's actually had depression. Suffering with it for a long time. He actually wrote a testimonial for me and he shared on how he's had all these treatments, done all these different medications, and he's been suffering with it since a child. And he shares how he's a man of science. He cannot explain, and he likes to see evidence for these things. He's like, I cannot explain to you his method on what he does. I cannot show you evidence, but I am the evidence of what he does. I do not suffer with depression. I have been freed and it has not come back and I've been cured of it, right? And this is a psychiatrist on a psych ward for people who, I've been on a psych ward lots when I was younger. We're going to say, because it's stored energy. And when we heal the stored energy of the vibrations of what you have lived through, It frees us because it is our inner body of light, our guidance system on our inner consciousness. It works through feelings and emotions. Emotions are the energy that works through us. We're always present and we're feeling. So what happens is the energy of lower vibration, there's actually different forms of energy covering our light. And when this happens, we get bipolar or PTSD, where we are triggered. We need to heal the triggering events that you went through. We need to remove the energy from those experiences, the erratic emotions up and down. It's because there is energy covering our light that causes us to suffer. Okay, severe depression. I had, and this is a lot of information here. I'm sharing a lot of people here where they're like, okay, this is too much information, but
We'll get into much more detail in part 2 if they just click below.
Yeah. So I won't get into that. I'll share more on what causes depression as well, that I was healed from, and I have not suffered after 40 years of suffering. I do not suffer with anything. And I am just sharing and giving this knowledge to give back to each person so that I can give you hope. If you're not feeling worthy, if you're not feeling good enough, if you live through trauma, abuse in different forms. I lived through sexual abuse when I was a child, being molested. It happened once or twice, but it still affected me. The verbal abuse and emotional abuse from a father who was not healed for what he lived through, and I didn't feel love from him. Being bullied every year, moving around school to school to school, and the teachers treating me the same, and putting my desk in the hallway in the Xerox room. So I grew up believing I was not worthy. No one could tell me anything different because every year I went to and how I was treated was the same. So I knew I was not worthy and good enough. I knew I was not good enough to be a part of anything because I was treated this way. But they're false beliefs to the root cause of why everything like that unfolded. And this is a part of what I do in healing people. When I'm working with your soul, talking to your soul, as we're connecting, I'm streaming in this very high frequency of light energy. This light energy I actually learned through the spirituals church, and I've actually taken what they have taught, because they're mediums that are running the church. I've taken what they have taught me, and I work with the higher evolved beings, and I've learned to amplify the frequency and vibration of it. And it will come from me, and it will connect to you as you're laying at home on the bed. And it's a very safe and gentle process on healing. And it's allowing this beautiful energy to run through your body as I continue to amp the frequency and vibration through your body. And when you share the experiences of your suffering, you're doing the work to get it out of you, because you have to get out the secrets, everything you've been through. That is the lower vibration that causes you to suffer. Once we heal this energy that is covering your inner being of light, you are freed from it. So people do not feel instantly or healed when we're done the session. Narcissism. I was a narcissist when I was younger. Why? I share about this because I was conditioned in it as a child. The hurt and pain of all the energy caused me to repeat on how I was being treated. And I treated my first girlfriend horribly, but I put myself into counseling, and it took 3 to 4 years in different layers. I healed to not be the same way that I was conditioned at home, just repeating experiences that my father treated my mother. And I only have unconditional love for my father. So I've done all the healing work, but that is all a part of my transformational 3-hour session. And there's much more that I do in that 3-hour session as well, on healing 6 different layers of energy of what we need to heal. At least from my experience, to not suffer, to feel unconditional love for myself and for everyone else, to not have judgment, to not have hate, and to feel the aliveness of this light energy of who I am within this physical form. And the beautiful thing is I just became a #1 international best-selling co-author to a book, Blues Talk Volume 5. We're aligned when we raise the vibration of the frequency of who we are within. We are now aligned for things to manifest of great things into our lives. So now more things of greater opportunities are going to come into my life, because the energy within me will cause other great energy that will match my light, and it will bring greater things for me in my life. And it's the same for all of us. We are all worthy of great things, no matter what you feel, no matter what you've done in your life. You are worthy of it, but you just have to heal the experiences from it.
I'm so looking forward to the more in-depth part 2. we're going to go over, I'm going to think of every question that every one of you that are listening to Jeffrey right now is thinking, his background, because we all come from some type of trauma, abuse, and the mental issues he went through. I'd like to ask him how the bipolar manifested, the anxiety, the depression, all of that, the 12 suicide attempts, a little more detail on his near-death experience. So thank you. If you could say your website again. And
All the addictions I had.
Addictions too. So we'll get into a lot more detail. Thank you for listening to part 1. Again, part 2 will be below. My email, if you need to reach out to me, I specialize in anxiety, stress, doom, things like that, anything related to that, using food tips, hypnotherapy, relaxation, meditation. My email is growthfactor.org@gmail.com. Jeffrey, can you say your website one more time and then we'll say goodbye to everyone?
Canadian Healing Medium on Google search or .com.
Thanks everyone for being here, especially Jeffrey. Thank you for being part of the Growth Factor family. That's this channel. Bye, Jeffrey. Bye, everyone. Thank you.